All right, guys, we're back up in the tree fort today, and I'm hoping to knock out a very quick and fun little project before the boys get home from school. By the time the day's done, by the time they get off of the bus, I want to have a apple launcher and apple delivery system figured out for up here. Most of what I need is in the shop already, but I figured we'd run through the idea here real quick. So basically just a quick water balloon launcher is going to get mounted between these two uprights, and then we can launch apples out into the field. We could even put targets out there of some kind. And the reason we're using apples is I've got two great big apple trees, and there's 1 billion apples, roughly. And they're starting to go bad at this point. There's no way we're gonna eat them all. We can't give them all away. There's just too many. So we're just gonna play with the leftovers rather than me just going to straight bury them in the old garden. So the thing is, the catapult's gonna be relatively easy, I think. Just have to put some eye bolts in there. I bought a water balloon launcher that will have carabiners on to strap it in there, and we can take it out of here when we're done with it. That way it doesn't just fall apart sitting in the sun. But then we also need a way to get the boys to get apples up here on their own without my help, without having to climb ladders with a bucket and climb ladders with a bucket up to the second story. So we're gonna actually have a rope down to the bottom here where they can just set the bucket down, clip the rope on, and then using a pulley, they can winch it up to the top. And I think I've got that worked out, but let's run in the shop and take a quick look. There's the shop right there. There's a little laser pheasant cutout in the window. Hello, Mr. Pheasant. Pheasant season opens in 2 days, and my spaniels are very excited. Moving on. So here's the catapult that we're gonna use. It's just surgical tubing and a basket with a handle on it. I asked my wife if she could sew one of these together because I've got tons of surgical tubing, but this 2-pack costs less than $20. And I decided it would actually be more worth my time to buy it off of Amazon than it would to build my own, even though I could have done it. This saved me time. And all we're gonna do is attach these eye bolts to the uprights up there. That'll be pretty easy to accomplish. And then I've got pretty good locking. These will twist locked, and then they won't open back up so it can't come apart on them. That'll wrap around this. So this was designed to be handheld, so you'd hold it like this and somebody else would pull those back. I might undo this, or I might use it as padding. I might actually clip over that, and that might help keep it from self-destructing, but that's really easy. The more complicated part is getting this bucket up into the tree. And to solve that little issue, I bought this cool little pulley. It came with a very short chunk of rope, which wasn't going to be high enough to get it up there. I believe this is actually designed rope ratchet tie down, thousands of uses. I found it in the hunting aisle. It was maybe there because it's intended to pull tree stands up into a tree with. But what's cool about it is that you'd hang it from your spot and you tug on this side and it can't go back. So that's the one that gets attached to the bucket. But then when you pull on this, it'll lift it up and not let it go back. So it's it's a one-way pulley, I guess is what you would call it. And then when you do want it to go down, you just pull this little tab here and now it goes just fine. So pull it up and then let it back down when it's empty. The trick is, the kids are kind of short. You have to get it up and over the railing to get it into that second floor. And if this is that high and the bucket is hanging from that, it's got to be enough, it's got to be at least that high over the railing just to get it into the basket. And at that point, I don't think their little arms can reach that release. So what I need to do is get in here, drill a little hole, and put a string that probably goes up and over this so that they can pull down on the string, because this is a latch that moves up to release it. So I think if that direction of travel for the string goes up and over this pivot point and then down, and then there's just a piece of paracord that they can pull on to release it, I think that's going to work. So first we're going to start with that, and then we're going to figure out how to mount this up there. Here's a little bit closer look at it. That's the latch that we have to get a hole in so that we can use a string over the top. And when we get to mounting it, I just don't think we're going to end up using that hook. I think we're going to come up with something else, or maybe we will come back to this. But for now, I can get to that better and work this out without that hook in there. So we're going to drill out that rivet, hopefully. got a little hole drilled in this block so that there's a space for the head of that thing to go when I punch it out. We removed enough of that material that I don't think there's anything holding it in there much at this point. We're just going to drive it out. There. There's the hook. Just finish driving that all the way through. Done. So if I need this to go back, I'll just put a bolt with a nut on it. But I'm thinking we might use this. We'll put an arm up there and we might actually just bolt it kind of like that so that it's fixed instead of trying to swing from a hook. We'll put that down in that hole. That seems like it'll hold it pretty steady for me. And then we're just going to punch a hole right in there. Tried to grab and pinch my finger. But we got it. It's not pretty, but it's in there. Everything still functions. So just to prove the point, if I go up and over that bolt now, there's pulling it up and it won't go down. It's gonna be hard to do, but if I pull the string now, I can pull that down and it does lift the lock. So if I try to grab that with two hands, yeah, that lock is now released because I'm pulling that string down. So this is gonna work. Now we just have to figure out how to mount it. Okay, back up in the tree fort. After looking this over, the way we're gonna do this is just take a board. This might be about the crappiest one that's ever come off the sawmill. We didn't have things adjusted right. I don't know if you can see how waffly that is. Anyway, we're just gonna take this piece off and put a new piece back on. We can cut it when we figure out where it's gotta be. Something like that. And then we're gonna put an eye bolt right here, and then that's where the bucket and the pulley will hang. So I have to take the old one off and put the new one on. And I don't know what kind of tension this thing is under, so just to really be sure, we'll kind of try to go straight across. 51 inches, 50 3/4. So I might have to pull that back in when I get there. Nothing. Didn't change at all. That's good. Don't fall on me, jerk. This board has an imperfection here, and then that end doesn't really matter, so we're gonna try to start right about here on that post. And just to make it easier on myself, something like that. Sun is very bright in my eyeballs. Just kind of have to have an idea of where to put that. I think just this side of that knot will work fine. Something like that. Hook. Rope goes down, gets tied off to the bucket. Unwind. Go, 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 go. Yep, that did it. If I want to pull it up, I pull on this, and if I want to let it go back down, the bucket should be enough weight to just let that go when I pull on this. If I pull on this, nothing happens. I pull there, and then pull it, we go back. That should work just fine. Now I have to figure out where to mount this so that it's low enough the boys can use it, but high enough to get over this railing. You know, both of them are gonna be high enough. We're gonna shoot for kind of like that knot, I think. Whatever that is feels good. I think think that's pretty good. I think that's gonna work. I have to finish it from the bottom, and I have to go bring the launcher up. But I think to make it easy to pull it off and on, we just have those carabiners ready to go. So when we're using it, they clip in, and when we're not, we take it out with us. Well, now I need to go down and get a bucket of apples and see if I can pull them up. So I got a bucket full of apples, and I have a carabiner tied to this rope, clip it on, and now I have to climb to the top and pull it up. I left the rope full length right now because I can always cut that later. I think this is the length we're gonna need, but I hate to cut it short early. And now if we just assume I am a small kid, can I get that up here? Looks like I'll have to watch out for hitting on that branch, but it is all the way up, and I can get it in here and then pull the release, and I have my bucket. That works really well. So what if I want to drop the bucket to the bottom? It's going to have some weight in it. Pull the release, let it slide. This is going to burn if it's on a bare hand, but in my glove I can let it slide. So the kids probably need to lower it slow or do it together. But if I'm short and I want to lift this up, pull it in, grab the release, and now I have my buckets. Now we can attack the zombie horde. In the field. Kids shouldn't have all the fun, right? Hey-ya! That'll be kind of fun to put a few targets out there. See if you can get one to land in a 5-gallon bucket or something. I'm gonna give it too much stretch that the apple falls out. I'm curious how strong it is. If the kids really put their weight behind it, what happens? Ooh, you can get it to go. That's what happens. Oh, buddy. Now we wait for the kids. Well, I appreciate you watching, guys. This is probably one of the few projects that's actually more fun to use than it was to build. I'd say we've launched somewhere between 8 and 10 5-gallon buckets of apples so far. And at this point, we've only hit the board twice, and we have hit the stake holding the gong up 3 times, but nobody's hit the gong yet, so I'm sure we're gonna keep after it until that happens at least once. If you think you need to build this silly thing at your own house, there are links down below in the description. And on that note, anytime you use any of the links down there, it helps out the channel a lot. That's one of the best ways to keep my channel going, is to go use the links. It doesn't cost you any more money. In fact, sometimes it saves you money when you use the coupon codes for the businesses that I have linked down there. So go use those links. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. And since the kids are at school, I'm gonna run up there and launch some apples on my own.